Dave Quinn here. Thanks for joining us today for this edition of our online training. Today I'm going to look at two of our Photocells ranges, the Desmes and the Eris A30s. I'm going to explain them, I'm going to show you how to wire them up. The Desmes is a pair of hardwired Photocells, so you have to run cable across the drive to the receiver or the transmitter. The Eris Photocells, they are wireless. One side has to be wired, the side that would be closest to your motor, and the side that's on the opposite side of the driveway will be wireless. You don't need to run cable to that, it takes a little battery. So let's jump right in. As always, feel free to type out any questions that you have, and at the end of the session I'll get on to answering those. And again, this is a recording. It will be uploaded to our website, so you will be able to download that video, save it to your phones or tablets or whatever. Alright, so the Desmes are pretty much our standard photocells. Photocells, photo beams, safety beams, infrared beams, whatever you want to call them. It's a pair of infrared beams that are mounted on either side of the driveway. They're generally there if you've got your auto close switched on your gate, so if your gate's automatically closing, if something's parked in its way breaking that beam, it's going to stop. It's going to stop the gate closing. If somebody drives through that beam, the gate will stop and reopen. One thing I do want to tell you right at the beginning, and I'll mention it throughout this video, is that our control boards coming from Europe, they are designed around safety, and your photocells, from default, the control boards, the photocells will be active in the opening and the closing of the gate. So if you've got a sliding gate and it's opening, and you put your hand in front of the beam, the gate will stop. You take your hand away from that, it will carry on opening. On closing, the gate will be closing. You put your hand in front of the beam, the gate will stop and reopen. This is a programmable feature. We can change this in our logic menu. We can change it so the photocells are only active on the closing of the gate. It's a phone call that we get quite often saying, photocells are working both opening and closing, and I run through the procedure on how to switch that function off, switch it on so they are only active on the closing feature. So I'll cover that as we go along. I'll show you, I'll explain to you how to change that feature. Likewise with the Eris Photocells, the wireless ones, they do take a little battery. When the gate is closed, we want to switch that battery off. So we're saving on battery power. So we have to set the photocells up as a tested function. Again, in our logic menu, when we scroll down to that input for the safety, we can select a tested function, and then we need to do that in order to save the battery. Otherwise you'll be replacing batteries, once, maybe twice a year. Okay, so let's jump in. The first one is the Desmes. Okay, these are common standard hardwired photocells. I've done a little chart here, so I'm going to draw it up here on how to wire them up, and then I'll go across to my display here. I've got a pair that's wired up, we'll go through that. Okay, so we are working with control boards that are U-Link boards, or control boards that have got the coloured terminals. So the little red and orange terminal blocks. Okay, those are the control boards that I'm working with today, because there's not many of those green ones out there anymore. But so with the photocells, right, here's our driveway coming in. We've got a transmitter that transmits the beam across to the receiver that receives the beam. They both need to be wired back to my control board. Alright? The transmitter only needs power. Okay? It's going to get power from the orange terminal 50 and 51. Okay? So number 1 is going to go to 51. Number 2 is going to go across to 50. That's going to give them power. That's going to give that side power. We've got to do the same on the other side. Okay? So number 1 is going to join up with 51, and number 2 is going to join up with 2 going to 50. Now our relay, our switch, okay, we're going to go into, from our common, which is number 3, we're going to go into 70, and our normally closed is 5, we're going to go into 72. So we don't use number 4 on these photocells. Okay? Now on the control board, all the normally closed contacts will all be bridged out. They'll all have this tiny little links across them. Okay? Because we're going into 70 and 72, you want to, the little link between 70 and 72, you want to take that out. Okay? The other links, you're going to leave them where they are. Don't take them all out because your gate won't work. Only the link where you're wiring into, you take that link out. Okay? So looking here, the little link between 70 and 72, we just cut that out. Okay? So that is our Desmes. I'll go on and I'll show you here now on how we're going to wire those up. Okay? So I've got a pair that's pre-wired. I've got a receiver here and a transmitter there. Okay? I've already pre-wired them up. And here it is here, and here it is here. So let's pop these out. I'll pop those in. I'll pop that in there. Okay, so you can see now, I've taken the link between 70 and 72 out. Alright? Now if you have a look at my transmitter here, I've got my red and black going into 1 and 2. That's coming down to here, 50 and 51, red and black. That's my power to that one there. Okay? And the same on the other side. I've got my red and black going into 1 and 2. And my common is number 3. And my normally closed, the yellow wire is number 5. I'm not using 4. Okay? And they are coming back to the control board. 1 and 2 going into my power. Here it is here, 50 and 51. My common is my white, 70, and 72 is my normally closed. Okay? That's the photocells wired up. If I switch my hand across them, I can hear the relay click, and you'll see the word photo come up on the display when I got my hand across them. Okay, so if you get there and you've got that word photo on your display, it's telling you that the contact between your 2 photo beams is open. It should be closed. So when a car comes across the driveway, the photo will come up, the car will drive away, and it will read your open or closed limit switch. In this case, it will be an open. Right, so now what I want to explain to you is how to switch the control board to a closing only. So I'll run a test and I'll show you. Okay, if I open my gate, I put my hand in front of the beam, the gate stops while it's opening. I take my hand away from the beam, it will carry on opening. Okay? That annoys people because they try and get through while the gate is wide enough for the car, but the gate stops. Okay, on the closing cycle, put my hand in front of the beam, the gate stops. Take my hand away and it will reopen. So I don't like this, I don't want this, let's say. I want them to be active only on the closing. So here's what I've got to do. I've got to go to that safe logic. And to get there, I'm going to press the OK button 4 times really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'll read parameters. I want to scroll down now to my logic, so I press the middle button. Goes to logic. That's what I want. I press OK. Excuse me. Now I'm going to scroll down using the middle button to where it reads safe 1. Because this is what I've wired into. I've wired into safe 1. 70 and 72 represents safe 1. So I'm going to press this middle button. I'm going to go down, I think it's about 12 pushes of this middle button. Oh, there we go. Safe 1. Okay? That's what I want, so I go OK. Now, I want to change it to photocells on closing only. So I can tell you that from the factory it's going to be set at 000. If I change that to, using the top button, I change that to 004, I press OK. It programmed the change, and when it goes back to safe 1, I can exit by pressing the top and the middle button together twice. 1, 2. Okay, let's test that. Let's see how that works. So, hit my remote, gate opens, put my hand in front of the beam, nothing happens. It carries on opening. Fantastic. On closing, put my hand in front of the beam, the gate will stop and reopen. Perfect. So quickly recap. Number 1 on the photocell, on both transmitter and receiver, is my positive power. It's my little red cable. It's coming into 51 on my control board. Number 2 on the photocells is my negative 24 volts. Okay? And the same on this side, it's my black cable. It's coming into terminal 50. That's what's feeding the 2 photocells with power. And then my actual switch or my relay is going into 70 and 72, which is safe 1. Okay, we've set it up to 004, which represents closing only. Okay, so just quickly recap here. Here I've explained how to do it, to change the safe 1 setting. OK button 4 times really quickly will take you to parameters. Okay, you press the minus button once, it will read logic. Okay, press OK because that's where we want to go into the logic menu. We press OK. We now press our minus button. Depending on what control board it is, sometimes it might be 10 pushes of that minus button, sometimes it might be 12 pushes, depending on what control board. But we're going to keep pressing that minus button until we read safe 1 on the display. We press OK to get into that. And 000 will be the factory setting. That means that the photocells are active on both opening and closing. 004 means the photocells will be active on the closing phase only. 005, the P-beams are active as a tested function on closing only. So we'll get onto this one now when we do our wireless photocells. Okay, which is going to be these ones. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect these ones. Alright, so I'll disconnect these ones that I've got wired up over here. And these are the wireless photo beams. They're the Eris A30. Okay? One side takes a battery. You'll see there's a slot there for a battery. There's a little battery that comes with it. Okay? The other side has to be wired. So obviously with the side that has to be wired, you're going to keep that closest to the motor because you're going to use these when you can't get cable across the drive. Maybe it's a nice stencil drive, it's concrete, customer doesn't want you to cut it up, that sort of thing. This side, okay, is our, it's going to be wired up with 6 wires. So unlike the Desmes where we're using 2 wires on one side and 4 wires on the other, this side we're only using 6 wires on one side. You have to use 6 wires. If you use 4 wires, you'll be going back every couple of months to replace the battery. Remember, we want to be turning that battery off when the gate's closed. We need 6 wires in order to do that. So I've gone ahead and pre-wired this one up. If you have a look in here, red and black is always my plus and minus, that's power. We're going to be using a V-safe power and our common, our test, and our normally closed. So I'll just again show you how to wire this up on here. Alright. So remember this side, we're popping a battery in, we don't need to get cable across. This side, on the little photocell, we've got 9 terminals. Okay? If you have a look there, you got 1 to 9. We are only using 6 of those Terminals 3, 4 and 5 we aren't using. Okay, we don't need to use. So 3, 4 and 5 we don't use. Alright? Terminal number 1. Okay, it's our positive power. We're going to give it positive power from terminal 51. Okay. Terminal number 2 is our negative power. It's going to get power from 50. Terminal 6, we need to give that a positive power, but we're giving it a positive power from terminal 52. What that does is it only gives it the power while the gate's in motion. Once the gate stops in the closed position, it actually cuts the power off, and that's what actually switches the battery off. Okay? So that's going to come from terminal 52, and it's going to go into terminal 6. Alright? Then we're going to be going in terminal 7 is our common. So I'll just use a different color here. Terminal 7 is our common, which is 70. Okay, it's going to go into 7. Terminal 8 is our tested function. So that will be number, what are we looking at? Number 73. So 73 will go into number 8. And then our normally closed is our photo, is 72. So remember, 70, 72, 73, they're always represented by the word safe 1 in our logic menu. Okay? Again, this little link between 70 and 72, we're going to have to cut that out. Okay? Leaving all the other links in play. Alright? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug this one in, set it up, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so just plug that over there. Okay, straight away now the contacts open because they're not lined up, and you can see photo closed, meaning that it's only active on the CL, the closed link. Okay, you'll notice on these photocells there's a lot of little jumpers, little shunts, little jumpers, whatever you want to call them. You don't need to change those. Okay, from the factory they'll come set up for a photo tested function, so you don't need to change any of those. Got a little LED on here, LED 1, that represents that I've got power. So if I look at my control board and I pull my power out, you'll see the LED will fade, it'll go out. Okay, so that's giving us power. I'm going to just stick this on here with a bit of blue tack for now. One thing about these, which is pretty handy, is that the lenses rotate 180 degrees. Okay, so let's say you couldn't mount it this way across my driveway. Okay, I'll just mount the other one on the other side. So here's my battery one. I'll pop the battery in. Should flash 5 times to represent the battery. It's reading the battery. And I'll just stick him up here. Hopefully that's lined up. But just going back to this this rotating lens. Let's say I had to mount it for some reason. I had to mount it on the side here because of space or anything like that. Okay, it's facing forward now. All I need to do is turn this lens 180 degrees so it's facing the other side. We'll give that a go, see how that works. Right, we go to my control board, and like this here, remember I told you we want to set this up as a tested function. So we want to go back to that safe 1 logic, and we want to go back to that safe 1 logic. We want to change it to, we changed it to 004, active on the closing for the other ones. We're going to change it now to 005. Alright, same procedure, get to safe 1, we'll change it to 005. So let's have a look here. OK button 4 times really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Middle button to go down to logic. That's what I want, so I go OK. I'm going to press this middle button 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times. Safe 1, OK. I'm going to put that up to 005. OK it. It programs a change. We'll go back to safe 1. There we go. And I exit by pressing the plus and minus together twice. 1, 2. Right, switch limit closed. It's reading my closed position. And let's give it a whirl. See how we go. Press my remote. Gate opens. Put my hand in front of the beam. Nothing happens. Okay, it's active on the closing only. Alright. Gate closes. Put my hand in front of the beam. And voila, the gate reopens. Okay. So, as far as troubleshooting goes, if you get to the site and the gate's stuck open, okay, and you have a look at your display and it's reading photo close, okay, it means that the infrared beam between there and there, it's not seeing each other. So either this photocell is, I don't know, maybe this photocell might have a bit of a bush or something growing across it. It might have been broken, whatever it may be. But that's giving you the reading that they're not seeing each other. All right, so yeah, I think that covers it. Ran through the Desmes. I showed you how to wire up the hardwired Desmes. You would have also, when you received your link, you would have also got this cheat sheet that we've done. It's pretty much covered exactly what we've been through today. It does also cover our control boards that don't have the little LCD display. This little board here, so the Hamel or Zara control boards doesn't have that display. Instead, it's got little dip switches, and you would have to switch dip switch 5 on. Okay, but it explains it in this. Shows you how to wire it up, pretty much what I did. On the back here, it shows the wireless photocells and how to program, how to change the logic for them. So keep that, it's pretty handy. It is available if you need it. We can resend it to you. Nice little folder somewhere in your vehicles, and you've got access to it whenever you're on site. Can't get hold of us, but yeah, otherwise download the video, keep that video on your phone. You can always watch it, and hopefully it all helps. So again, just remember that the safe 1 logic, we can change the way it behaves, so we can change the way that the gate behaves on those photocells. Alright, so thanks very much. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to have a look at some questions now and hopefully be able to get you some answers. Okay, thank you.